I'm glad you stopped by. So you got a few people in here already. I'm glad to see this. I'm not sure who else is live streaming tonight except for Rico. I saw him on earlier, but this is about the only time I get to go, so I just go when I can. Unfortunately, maybe later on I can start scheduling more. Hey, it looks like Crick's Catfish Cave is the first one here. Hello. And Jeff Kane is in here. Good evening. I got a few things to talk about tonight. I had quite a few things going on last couple weeks. Last Thursday, I couldn't live stream because my daughter's car broke down in the afternoon. She thought it was just a battery. It acted like it. She said it started kind of funny in the morning, and then started, she got to work, no problem. Then she stopped at a Dollar Tree, and it wouldn't start again, and wouldn't do anything. So I just dead battery, and they tried to charge it, and nothing happened. I was like, I just take the battery over and get a new battery, and wanted to check it. So she got a new battery. The battery was old anyhow. It was quite I forget what the date was. The date was pretty old on it, so she got a new battery. And it worked. So her new boyfriend was with her, which was cool. He's only dating him for a week or two, kind of going out really with him. So he was able to help her out. And I had to stop by and bring a flashlight and bring a wrench that he didn't have on him. He just had his work tools, which he does home refrigerator repair, that type of thing. So he just had one socket too small. So one socket size bigger is all he needed. So he did that, and he helped her out, which is kind of cool. I appreciated that. It's always nice when your kids are dating someone that's intelligent and can handle things. Let's see who else has dropped in here. Balin, Jeremy, hello. Arlington, tortoise, and quail. All right. I'm not sure I've ever, that's not interesting at all. I think I knew you. Anyhow, so yeah, she did that for me, so I couldn't be here. I had to go help her out, but so we got the starter changed out on it, which was ended up being a problem. He got it started, no problem. They had to go driving all over town to get it, so it was kind of late whenever they were starting to work on it, which basically the time I was supposed to be live streaming, I was helping her change that car out. I'm going to change that starter out, so that was awesome. That's too funny. Very reliable. So, relatable, yeah. So, so tonight I was able to get on here. I got a few things different. You'll see a different scene if you're on here. The last couple of live streams I do. The scene looks a little different. No green screen behind me. I actually turned my desk 90 degrees. So behind me, before, there was a 55-gallon aquarium with like a thing on top of it where water would go off. And actually, I got a photo here. Let me pull up this photo of that whole corner, basically. And you see what I was talking about. I took that all down, put up this new rack over here. And on this rack, you can see my new fry grow out rack. I didn't even upload it somehow into my share screen and stuff. So hang on here. Let me see if I can do it real quick. It shouldn't be too big a deal. If I did that, but maybe it will be a kind of a big deal. Oh well, maybe next time. But anyhow, so you can see behind me, I'm going to put this new fry grow out. I've already got 2 of these set up. And I do a video on how I built this on my on this channel. You just look down through Fry Grow Out system. I think I have it's like 36,000 views on that one, which is pretty cool. Let's put the chat. Relatable, yes. Welcome in. So let's take a look at some things that I've got going on. Let me change over the screen back. So here in a little bit, I'll show you this fry grow out system and what I've changed on it. I made some really good improvements, and I've noticed that fry grow really fast in here, and I think you do a lot better in this system than the other system where you stick the containers like in a 20-gallon tank or different. I had the 55-gallon tank is basically the same width as a 20-gallon and a 29. So I've got a 20-gallon. And you almost can see it's right off to the right of my screen. It's over here. You can see part of it right here. Back to this. Probably see more of it. There's the original grow outs that I have set up. Still have 2 of those going there, and so just that was a bigger problem. And there's one down below. This is a 20 long down here. 20 long here, and this is a 29 down here. But basically like the master, beans grow out system, as all those are. Those work okay, but there's a major problem with that when you're doing killifish or other fish that jump, and that's the jumping part. You tend to want to jump out of those, or could jump out of those. So I ended up with quite a few fish in the bottom, down the 20-gallon tank, in the tanks themselves, with fry in there. So that was a problem. And the 55 behind me in the bottom had some long-eared sunfish, and so they would jump out sometimes, and I think they would probably get in there and then I'd get eaten. So that was a problem. Yeah, not fun at all. So anyhow, I upgraded that, and it's working pretty good. This system here should be the best one of all of them. The way I've upgraded stuff, and the fry growing out. So I have so many fry in this room right now. They're growing out, but everything's kind of small. And I'm hoping to go maybe to Houston in December 9th and 10th and do a fish show there. That might be kind of fun. But they're asking me to do that. So let's skip over here to jump over to there we go. They can't jump out with the systems that got closed tops on it. It does have little holes, but you can easily shove filter floss or what's that stuff called? Oh, it's the bedding, the stuff you stick in, pillows and stuff like that. You can shovel that in there or whatever you want to do to cover up the hole if you needed to. So that works really good. And I'm really glad that Tell me, does sound back? Did I kill my own sound? I have a feeling I know what I did. Let's check something here. Oh, no, I should be alright. So, hopefully it sounds back. Okay. I wonder if sound goes away whenever I switch over to shared screen. Let's try that. Let's go to shared screen and see if it does. Okay, I must have set something up wrong with the with the screen share thing. Let's stop screen sharing and then see if I can rebuild it real quick while we're sitting here. Because I got some cool stuff I want to show you. And screen share. Also show, yes, leave that up. I think that's what I did. All right, let's switch back real quick. All right, did my sound go away that time? I'm still learning this new program, TV Mux. So please let me know if it died. Connor, uh-oh. So let me know if I got it fixed here. I'll just hang out. So yes, that means yes, it's fixed, or yes, the audio died. So anyhow, let's try this. I'm going to jump over. I want to show you some cool video. This is a video. It'd be dead. Okay. Well, we just won't jump over to that screen after jump back. I guess the sound went away. Man, I thought I fixed it. Man, that is weird. I'll have to dig into that later. Okay. Anyhow, so if you're on the last couple live streams with me, I talked about Tim Jones. At least I know I did in the last one. Tim Jones worked at a bunch of different zoos in the area. This guy's like a legend in the zoo world. So I went down and I videoed just a video interview with him about some of his time at the zoo. And man, he likes to talk. So he's got lots of video in here, lots of audio and lots of cool stories. It just went on and on and on about this awesome stuff he saw. And the things that are going to be in his book. So basically, I just started asking him what was the first zoos he worked at, and this is what he.
The first zoo I ever worked at was the Central Texas Zoo in WAKO. I was a teenager, and I saw in a newspaper that a group of people was starting a zoo. It started out in a pet store, and they were starting a zoo and gathered up a few animals. And the Heart of Texas Fair had come to town, and they built cages and put the animals in. And they went to the Heart of Texas Fair, and it was a success. And so they decided, well, we got a few animals, we'll start a zoo. And the city of Waco let them have an old fire station on airport property with a rotating beacon right in their yard. And I saw in a paper where they did that, and I got my little, I think I had a 48 Chevrolet convertible, and I jumped in that, and I went to, I was trying to find the airport, and I went to a place called Bosqueville, right outside Waco. There was a grocery store, and I went in. There's a guy by the name of Pete Griffin that owned it. And Pete and I started from that day, and we were friends for over 40 years.
Wow.
And I said, there's a zoo out here somewhere, and I can't find it. And Pete said, I'm getting a lot of business from that. You go down here to the first left-hand turn, and you turn and you follow the road, and it's the old Blackland Airport, and you'll find where they start a zoo. And so I thanked him and I went out, and I walked up, and the first guy I saw was a middle-aged guy chewing on a cigar, and I said, I want to volunteer. What can I do? And he said, well, let me think. Why don't you go over and clean those javelinas? And they had put wire on the doors, and chicken wire. And I stepped over it with a broom and a pot, and there's 3 javelinas in there, adults. And I started sweeping it, and I'd take the broom, pop them on them behind, and they'd click their tusk at me, and I cleaned it up, and now I don't know how I did that without getting ate up. Yeah. And I got out of there, and so I want to know what else I could do, and in a little room roped off was a cage with a female spider monkey that had a baby attached to her. Well, a spider monkey gets offended at you real quick. So I went over there and I opened it up, and I took the old straw out, and I was cleaning it, and I got some water, and I was going to put some water in this water dish, and she just reached out and put her arm around my neck and lifted herself out into my lap with the baby. And I thought, that's the neatest thing I've ever seen. And the public was coming over, and they thought I knew all the things about monkeys. And I let her do what she wanted. So then I tried to put her back. And you don't get a hold of a spider monkey and do that. And she started screaming, and the prehensile tail went around my neck. And she bit me right here, and right here, and right here, and right here, and right here. And then she got back in the cage with her baby and sat down. And I shut the door, and there's people watching. And I said, boy, that's really something. I got bit by a monkey. And I was real proud of the bite, even though they were bleeding and hurting. And I went home, I lived with my mother, and I said, you ain't gonna believe what happened to me. Look here, I got bit by a monkey. And I'd go out there every day.
Was your mom impressed with that as you were? Probably not, huh?
That wasn't the monkey that I later on wrote about.
Oh, okay.
I wrote about a male spider monkey later.
I listen to that guy talk all day long. In fact, I've listened to him talk several times. It's pretty cool. The stories he got are just amazing. The book is awesome. And how you get the copy of the book is there's a link down here. There should be a link in the comments too about it. But he's awesome, man. I loved him. So let's see here. Let's go. Let's watch another video. I like it. Let's jump over and I'm just going to.
I woke up the first morning and walked outside with a cup of coffee, and I smelt the pine trees. And it's the most beautiful thing to see those pine trees and smell of them after living in the big city. I was thrilled to death. And I stayed there 7 years and did a lot of things and had a lot of fun, made a lot of trips, made a lot of friends. And that was probably the highlight of my life, working at the Lufkin Zoo. Yeah. Did a lot of.
If you guys have seen the videos online of an older guy hand feeding some snakes, some water snakes, fish, that's Tim. He's got viral. Some of those videos have 3 or 4 million views, well, more than that probably, millions of views, and it definitely went viral. He's just awesome. So here, let's do a little bit more of that.
A lot of things working there, and I tell in my book some stories of things that happened there. I'm just going to point out a couple.
Sure.
Lufkin Industries was a huge operation. I mean, a multi-million-dollar operation. And they actually got the zoo started because the CEO of the Lufkin Industries liked animals, and a guy sent him a baby hippopotamus for a present. And he had to get the Monroe, Louisiana zoo to take care of it while he tried to raise money to build a zoo. They got the Rotary Club behind him, and they ended up building a zoo. And they hired Don Anderson to work there, and he worked for about a year. But when he went to Florida, I ended up there, so I got to build the zoo a little bit. Every year, the Lufkin Rotary Club would have a waffle bake, and the mayor and the city council and everybody, the judges and the police chief would serve waffles as waiters to people. And we built up the zoo. One day they called me and they said, come out here. And I went to the office of Lufkin Industries, and Trout, who was in charge of it, said, sit down in that chair and prop your feet up on a desk. And I did. Most comfortable chair I ever sit in. And he said, our company, DC3, is going to fly some business agents after tomorrow out to West Texas. And when those people leave, there's a week before we need that DC3 back. How would you like to go to California? And you just take the DC3, and they've got 2 pilots, and they'll take you where you want to go for a week. And boy, that was hog heaven. And so I went and I got on a DC3.
Hello, outside in. Hope you guys are enjoying that. I'm going to hopefully get that video edited out. I've got 2 different cameras that I'm going to be mixing together and making a full video out of that. So hope you guys enjoy that. He's a blast. Some of the stories are just absolutely insane. These were the days long before OSHA and really anybody cared about safety. It seemed like, I mean, man, he had hurt so many different times. It was crazy. I'll be looking for Jeff. Let's get you. So, talk to you all later. All right, talk to you later. But, hey, I'm going to show you something about this. Some stuff about this. My new setup here. This is my. Oh, look at that ski child. Okay. So first thing I did made it a little bit easier. And if you can see the holes. So these holes are. This hole here is a feeding hole. This hole is going to be where the line goes in. So basically, you have a line for water that goes into here, and it's constantly dripping water, and you can control that. Hey, Carl. So you constantly drip the water coming in, and on the back, it flows into this container and flows out the back. Well, for some reason, plastic, sometimes when you drill it, cracks. It's a standard drill. I didn't think about it, but I could use a step drill and drill the holes. So on this version, I just use a step drill and drilled me some holes, and it works great. I was surprised how easy that cut, and it looks so much better than me taking a soldering iron and trying to cut it out so I wouldn't crack it. That was dumb, nightmare. And I did the same thing with the hole in the back. Before I would take this and line it up, and then I would take the soldering iron. Well, I'd take a marker around it, and then take a soldering iron, carefully cut out the hole, and then keep working it until it fit in. Well, it took forever to do like 10 of these things. It was a pain. Now with that step drill, it's just drill right in there. Not a big deal. So that was a big improvement. And on the inside, what I was doing, I'll probably go get this back on, right? But on the inside, what I was doing is I was taking some of the filter material like this and cutting it and shoving it in here. Well, it kind of worked good, but some of them were plugging up because whenever I would cut it, I would cut it a little too big. When I shove it in there, I'd squeeze it down. When you squeeze it down, the holes would get forced shut. When the holes were forced shut, the water wouldn't go through right. It would plug up easy. So all the debris would plug up and it started overflowing the container, which was no big deal because it just overflowed into the bigger container here, and it didn't go anywhere. So it didn't cause any flooding to the house or anything. But the whole thing filled up and get a really small fry. They couldn't be washed over or find their way out. So what I did is I found these. These actually came off of Tamu. So if you've heard of Tamu, everybody doesn't like it or whatever, like it or not, whatever. But you get some of these little things, and then just basically, just it stretches over the top. And I might take a zip tie and just take a zip tie and zip tie it on here so it holds it tight on here. Let's see what we got going on here. Looks like I like hole saws a lot compared to drill bits. Yeah, hole saws work pretty good too. The Fortuner bits makes it. If you're made of money again, no kidding. It's hard to drill that type of plastic. It just wants to crack. Soldering iron is a great trick. Yeah, soldering iron works, but that step drill, it just goes right through this. It doesn't crack it, man. It cuts it perfectly. And the trick is, it seems counterintuitive. Most time plastic, if you go too fast, the plastic it melts. But with these, you go fast and you push hard. So it cuts through and doesn't melt it. If you go too slow or you put too much pressure, all of a sudden it'll like start stretching out the plastic. So you go kind of quickly, put a little pressure and it'll cut it out real quick. If you don't cut all the way through perfectly and it leaves some marks on the inside, just flip it around the back and hit it with the drill on the inside and it basically takes off all that. So it works awesome. Let's see here. Like obviously, there's the proper tool for the given job. No kidding. But spade bits are awful, and even a regular fluted bit will start to do that triangular thing in sheet metal and such. Absolutely, it's terrible on these things. There's another thing you need to be aware of too. These fittings matter, okay? Because these fittings, let's see, this one has the male screws, and this one screws onto it. Well, and this is a small washer in there, number 15 washer, from like the sinks and things. Everybody get the sinks, all those washers in there. You put a pack of like 10. So you buy a pack and you use those. The thing is, some of these connectors, some styles, they don't screw together close enough. So there's a big gap. It'll be a big gap like this wide, just as close as you can get it together. But if you go through and hook them up and you squeeze them, tighten them up right there in the store, you'll see some of them get fairly close. So this is actually very snug together, but it's barely touching that O-ring. And the O-ring really doesn't even matter that much because if it leaks, it's not a big deal. It's going back into the big container anyhow. This is going to be recycled. And if you see, I had a problem. Let me see if I can jump over and pull up this image. See if I can show you the problem I had, and this is the fix for it. So, all right, I'm going to jump over. I don't know if the audio is going to work, so I'm assuming the audio is going to die. So I'll just jump over here real quick, show you point out what I'm talking about, and then jump back. Screen share. Okay, hopefully you can see that, kind of hear me. But what would happen is this would drip. You would think the water, because it's actually, just keep this level, it's hard to hit level. This is actually angled down because of this wall's angle. So what should happen, you would think you'd come out here and water should just drop off here. Well, it doesn't because there's water tension. Water tension will make it slide all the way back, sometimes all the way back here and run down, or at least to here and then fall. Well, that falls onto the outflow of the other one, or the lid, the lid of the other one. And then it flows the lid out, and then it gets algae on it, and it gets all gross. So the easy trick was just to drill a hole through this fitting and drop a zip tie. Now what happens is the water runs down, hits the zip tie, rides the zip tie down all the way where you want it. So you can either cut the zip tie off or leave it long and just put it all the way in the water. If you have it all the way into the water, it won't splash. But if you have it, you cut it higher, and then it drips into the water. And dripping in the water is not bad because it breaks surface tension up and it can make things better. You can take a look at chat. We'll show you what chat is going on. People saying hi. Step bits take tiny bits off at a time. They're pretty nifty. Yes, the step bit works perfectly for this. Hello, Stormy Riding. This is whatever. I'm terrible with names, so I apologize. So, hey, Zen. Hey, Geek Boy. Well, hello, Rico. How you doing? Big Steve's Aquatic And exotics, hello. Let's see what's going on here. Found a new channel and subscribe to. Hey, thank you for subscribing. I'm up to 400 and I don't know, 425 or something like that, 420. So I appreciate it. I'll be at 500 here in no time. No sound again. Hopefully that's just when I switched over to the other screen. I bet it was. I'll have to figure that out. I have no idea. There's probably a setting over here somewhere. That sucks. I've got audio. Yeah, you probably got audio whenever I come back to this screen. When I go to my screen share, it tends to go away for some reason. Yeah, on the screen change. I'm seeing that now. Hey, Bunny Piper, welcome. Mexicali Fish Keeper, awesome. Glad you could join me. Yeah, I wish I knew how to fix that. Zen Ginger, FYI. Jenna P said the notifications for your channel weren't on, but she fixed it and fixed it on the website, so people will get notifications by. All right, thank you, appreciate that. Scrolling. All right, so I'm all caught up now. Didn't take too long. Let me put this back over here. So that system is a real lifesaver for me. I can't say enough about it. It was one of the coolest things it came up with. Man, I don't see there's not many flaws to it now. Now that I got it fixed up, this baker's rack is one of the heavier duty ones. It says it'll hold up to 600 pounds per shelf. The old one I had, I looked it up and I bought it used, only holds 350 pounds per shelf. So I did some math, did some calculations, I guess, on how much water is in the system. It's hard to guess how much, gauge how much water is in here because you're not really in an aquarium to fill up. You got these totes that are only partly filled, and you got the bottom thing that's partly filled, and all that jazz. So what I started filling it up using a gallon jug, basically, and got about 20 to 30 gallons in it, depending on exactly how I fill it. So on the ones that only hold 350 pounds, I make sure I keep water levels a little lower in the bottom so I don't want to overweight the thing, because I am pushing my luck on that. This one shouldn't be a problem at all. And eventually I might go back and actually upgrade those old ones, just because this kind of sucks if that one will fail. It kind of makes me a little worried, but I don't see any problems with it. It was bowing a little bit at first, but what I did is I stuck a piece of plywood underneath of it. So I got a 1/2 inch piece of plywood and pulled all the little totes out of it and slid that underneath, and then I fixed the problem. It's straightened up. It works great. So yeah, and now I still have something to do here. If you look, this is kind of low. If you see these containers are all the way at the bottom, what I do, it's hard to see it, there's an egg crate in here. So I've got there's an egg crate here. Underneath of the egg crate, what I'll do is I'll take PVC pipe, and I have some 1.5 scrap, 1.5 PVC pipe, and I cut those into sections, about maybe 4 inches tall or so. I have to look at the other ones, how high, then maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches, I don't know, I have to look. I'm going to stick that underneath, right where the tubs will go. So right underneath it here, right in the middle, I'll stick a row of those underneath there to lift that up. That seems to work really well, and it keeps it level too. And then I'll put, I was using decomposed granite on the first version. The second version, I used lava rock. Either one's going to work just fine. Lava rock's a little easier to work with because it washes out a little quicker. Man, that decomposed granite is just a major pain in the butt. So, let's see what's going on in the chat here. So everybody coming in. Silver Creek. So those are continuous breeder boxes or grow outs for the killies. Okay, these are grow outs. So what I do is I hatch out the eggs in small containers. Oh, I got one up here. So what I'll do is I'll put I actually use a gallon container of water that's run through my carbon block. You can use dechlorinator or whatever you want to do. And I put it in a gallon container and I put like 2 or 3 drops of methanol blue in there and then mix that up and then pour that into one of these containers. So I fill it about halfway full of water. And then I'll pick my eggs, put my eggs in here. And usually most of the stuff I have is about 14 days incubation period. There's a few exceptions. I have a few other types of fish that incubate a little differently, but for most of them, only about 14 days, and I'll put a tag on top, and I'll put the date on here, and I'll put how many eggs I put in here. So I won't put more than about 5 days worth of eggs, maybe 7 if I'm just lazy, don't want to make a new container up. I'm out of the bigger containers empty and I just don't have time. But no more than 7 days of eggs in here, and no more than 30 eggs. And that's just arbitrary numbers that I pulled that seem to work. So I'm just sticking with that. So if I pull 30 eggs in one day, next day I got to get a new container, which happens sometimes, especially when I have 2 or 3 of the same species, the same locale. I'll have 2 or 3 pairs laying eggs. So I'll put all those in the same container because they're all from the exact same location. They're all the same species. There's nothing different about them. If I have a different location or a different species, all they get separated out. They're all tagged. And then what I do is after they hatch out of here, I'll do one of 2 things. So if I had a 7-day, if I had eggs in here for 7 different days, it takes a while for them to start hatching out. So I'll do one of 2 things. Kind of depends on the species and how all the eggs are going. So if they all seem to be hatching out pretty quickly and everything's going great, I'll just take the whole container and pour it into one of these when they're ready. If they're staggered out, I can see there's different developmental stages inside the eggs and some are hatching out. Then I'll take a pipette, suck those out, and put them in one of these containers over here. And then I'll take the tag off the top. Once I get them all in there, the tag goes off and it goes on the front of these containers. That way it keeps everything straight. And I've got a strange numbering system where it started out when I bought some killifish. They're all in classes. So there's all these different classes. So when you buy them, it'll be class 6 was Fun Little Pancheks Gardneri, and they're all in class 6. So 6, and then the next designation was just the number of they were put in the sequence. They were put on the table basically. They had nothing else to do that. So the first thing I ever bought and I set up was a Fun Little Pancheks Gardneri, and it was 6-4 in the show. So I took that label and stuck it on my aquarium. And so I did the 6-4, plus it had a whole bunch of information about the NEWR, the fish on it. Well, I decided that when I was making these little containers up, instead of putting Fun Little Pancheks Gardneri or any kind of thing like that, because I might end up with more locations of those and it starts getting cumbersome, that I would just put 6.4 on there and then the date. And that worked out really well. And then the next species or the next location I got, I went, well, I got 6-4. That's kind of weird. So I backed up to 6.1 for my Sheelite, Fun Little Pancheks Sheelite. So all the Fun Little Pancheks go 4 something. And then I've got just different, Epiplates or 11 whatever. So it's just the way and it's not really goes by class anymore. I just kind of started using my own numbering system. So that's how that developed. Let's see what's going on here. That's awesome. Thank you. So this is what I've been going on. Let's see here. What else we got going on? Man, I wish I could screen share, but it's just not going to work because I'll lose the audio, and I don't know there's a button I have to hit or whatever. Oh, here, Tommy. Let's do this. I'm going to switch over real quick. Hey, Skitty. I'm going to switch over real quick to the shared screen, which will have audio. Maybe I'll take a look, see if I can figure out what's going on real quick with it. But this is the tank that you gave me a lot of the plants for, Tommy. So I thought you might like to see how it's coming along. I did add some more plants to the front, and I had a big stump I was going to put in it, but the thing won't sink. So I've got it now. I boiled it. I did everything I can trying to get the stupid stump to sink to sit in the right-hand side of this tank. Okay, did I lose audio again? I bet I did. That's a jungle, baby. Yeah, I like it. Looking pretty cool. Once those plants do start growing in. The only problem with the jungle fowl is it's kind of starting to wrap around the tank. So I'd be cool to have the back and the sides covered. So I'm just going to pull those out. It's not a big deal. Just keep it trimmed up. It's not a problem. Man, I just don't know why in the world that thing loses audio every time. Huh. try something. Let's do that. I'm gonna try one more time because I really like to do that. Video. Also share that video. I don't care about that. Okay. Oh. Okay, I'm back. Did it die again? Carol, I want a miniature red mower for my tanks. That'd be cool. Mainly switch the audio being shared to your mic instead of the screen audio. I'm not sure. This is EV Mux. I'm going to have to play with it when I'm not doing it live. It gets too much. I'm sure there's a button and I'm not hitting somewhere. It's probably really simple. But anyhow, what else do we have going on? So, man, I have some new fish that I picked up from the Killie Shack. If you're ever looking for cool killie fish, the Killie Shack, he's down in Bryan, Texas, the College Station area. And he's a college student down there, and he's really good at no-field Those are the ones that are the annual killie fish. It's kind of what he's making his mark working with. And he still has some Epioplates Lamontii. They're really stunning little fish. Basically, surface dwellers that live close to the top of the water. Really cool fish. He had a couple pairs that he was able to spare and send me up. So I am working with those. I only got a couple eggs out of them, which is crazy because they're like half grown. They're little things. I didn't expect that. So yeah, got those, and I got some Aphyosemians rich in Bacchae from Justin. He's another guy. It's in the AKA. He's going to be at the WAKO show, and he usually comes back with some pretty cool stuff. I'm anxious to see what he came back with. Man, those things are breeding like crazy for me. I did not expect that. I did have a fish loss, which was kind of sucked. The fish that was in the outgoing, what do you call it, thumbnail. The really cool fish is called a Scriptio Apis. Man, I won't blank all of a sudden. That's a good thing. I probably have it sitting right here in front of me. No, I don't. Oh man, it'll pop into my head. Anyhow, it's my favorite fish, man. I think it's beautiful, but ended up passing away on me. The female died about a month and a half ago, and I guess it was getting old because I picked those up at one of the killifish shows as adults, and it just didn't last long. I think they were old. But I do have some fry growing up from them, so I think I should be able to replace it. Schmidt eye. That's what those are. Go, Justin, keeping taco supplied. Heck yeah. So that's cool. I mean, I love getting new fish. And the WAKO that's going on this coming weekend, they're having our auction on Sunday after the show. And they have a list of stuff they're going to be auctioning off. And you can put in, what do you call those? They can bid for you. Basically, you send them a list of what you want. You pay them up front for everything that you could possibly win. You send them money because they want to make sure that they don't get stuck holding fish and nobody wants to pay them. So you pay for the shipping and pay for the maximum amount of money you want to spend up there. And then they'll bid for it. Proxy bidding is what it's called. So anyhow, so they'll do some proxy bidding for you. And boy, I'm thinking about doing that because there's some pretty cool fish on that list. But I'm a little gun shy. I sent fish up for the show and nothing made it. Kind of heartbroken about that. And it kind of really upset me and kind of sells out of the window. Still not happy about that, but I don't think there's anything I can do. But, this is the way it goes. Hero, Mark, what would be your ideal killifish to keep? I have a Florida flag fish, but they aren't what most people mean when they say killifish. That's true. I mean, they are killifish, and they are really great. They're really killifish. They're really awesome. My ideal killifish, boy, that's hard because there's 1,400, around 1,400 species, I think, right now, somewhere in that proximity. I mean, their body shapes are way different. Their lifestyles are different. The way they breed is completely different in some areas. The water qualities they like is way different. They're really, you can't define killifish with just one species. It's man, it's a mix of a bunch of stuff. So I know a lot of people look at the logo for the American Killifish Association, the the garden, I'm tired, man. It's been a long day. The bundle panchecks, what the heck do they call those things? Man, I'm drawing a blank. But that is what most people consider like the the main fish. Man, I had some right in that tank sitting over there, and I sent them. That just irritated me. Anyhow, the ideal for beginners. Oh man, there's quite a list. Basically, I have a Vivi account, and I have a bunch of stuff on Vivi. So I have things like Fundal Panchecks, Gardner Eye, and Aphrodisians Australs are two of the best. But I also have Epiplates, Gamani, is how you pronounce, I think. Anyhow, those are top fish that sits close to top. Really cool. They got like a orange patch or red patch of color right here on their chin. They in the real life they just they have so many colors in them. They're just really cool fish. Super hardy. I had them outside, and the water temperature got to 97 degrees this summer. They did phenomenal out there. They breed like crazy. I can't get them to stop breeding. They are just, I mean, a great fish. I can't say enough about those things. There's really awesome fish. And there's a bunch of stuff it's good for beginners. Killifish are not hard to keep, with rare exception. There are some that are a little finicky and really hard to breed, but if you're just trying to keep them, man, they're easy to keep. It's awesome. Funnel pinchicks, Gardner Eye, and Rookie Eye are the ones I hear about. Most, I think. Maybe the Rookie Eye. You could hear about those. But the Gardner Eye, that's just that and the Golden Wonder Killies. The Golden Wonder Killies are they still have the same body type and they're obviously wild, but they've especially bred them so you won't see that color phase and that color in the wild. But I have some of the basically cousins of those. They're the same. They're the different. They're the same genus with different species. So Aplochias dei is what I have, and Aplochias. What's the other one? Panchecks. I have those guys coming. The Panchecks now are just getting big enough. I got them as basically they were sent as eggs, but they hatched on the way. So I ended up with actual fry that I've grown up now, and they're just getting to the size they've dropped an egg or two, not fertile yet. So I almost got those. With the dei, I've got breeding. I got some that are almost ready to start breeding. So that works great. South America are a pain to keep. Minus, oh no, some of those are great. Some of those I have to be careful with when you talk about South American stuff. If you get anything that's endemic to Brazil, you could be in trouble. So I would not ship anything that's found only in Brazil, any killifish. Even if it lives in Brazil, it's not endemic. It's just it lives in Brazil. I would not be shipping it across state lines and definitely not importing it in, even the eggs. The feds now are cracking down on that stuff. Brazil's saying, no, we've never allowed any killifish to leave the country, which is BS because there's all kind of paperwork and showing that it's supposed to be illegal, but they're not acknowledging any of that. So they've turned them illegal now. So that's what makes the biggest pain about the South American stuff. You have to be real careful what you're doing there. I don't have too many South American. The non-annuals are easier than annuals. Now I wish I could pull this up without losing my audio because I found the coolest snake. I'll tell you what. Just gonna switch over real quick with no audio and show you what I'm talking about. So I walked in the back door at work, and luckily, I'm kind of known. Yeah, I am known as a snake guy around here, and I've been doing snake education for about 27 years, plus or minus a couple years somewhere. We're not sure exactly how long it's been, but I'm actually the president of the Dallas Fort Worth Zoological Society, so snakes are kind of my thing. And this is what I found. So, yeah, there you go. I found that on the floor, and it ended up being a really cool racer, Eastern Yellow Belly racer. So here is that dude. Once I set this back up again. I think they're probably rare for a number of reasons. There's there's a bunch of myths about them too that they die within a year. They're hard to feed. There are some that do die within a year. That's the annual killifish I was talking about. Those will die within about roughly a year, maybe a little more some occasions, sometimes less. But most of the killies that are non-annuals or semi-annuals can live 2 or 3 years, basically the same length as most of the killifish. Most of the other fish are the same size in the area. So I think that's one reason. And the word "kill" is in the name. That doesn't help. I'm sure some people think they're just going to kill everything in your tank, and that's most of the time that's not true. There's a couple of them that are kind of a little more feisty and not a good community fish, but in general, a lot of the beginner type stuff is just great for communities. That's what that tank I was showing earlier. That's a community tank. It's full of killies and non-killie fish. It's going to be kind of an experimental tank for me to see what really was working and what doesn't. Another thing is the names. So there's no real. Some of these don't have like common names really. Some of them are kind of common names, like the Everybody's. And they're they call them red chin panchecks or red chin killifish, but that's not really a good name. Let me see here. We got going on. Oh, the racer. We only see one around here that was young. This was a young guy too. He was only he's only about that long. Probably hard to see on the video, but about a foot long or so. He's a young guy. Yep. I like my con killies. Yes, I need to get some con killies. This would be great to breed. I'm trying to think of some other myths about killifish. Oh, they have to eat live foods. I've heard that a lot. Man, only time I have them eating live foods is sometimes some of them when they're really small fry prefer like something moving. But once you get them eating that for a while, then you start mixing in some powdered foods. They'll start eating that. Then they'll eat flakes. They'll eat anything. My favorite food right now for my fry is a mixture of the tetra colored granules and fluval bug bite granules. And I put those and I grind them up. So depending on how small I want it, if I want it really fine, I put it in a coffee grinder. And it only takes about 30 seconds or so, man. It turns that into a baby powder, man. It's so fine. It is awesome for feeding a really small fry. And then I run it through a pepper grinder on the finest setting. And I have a couple bottles of that too here. In fact, I'll show you what I use. I've been sitting right here. So right here, this is what I use for feeding the fry. This is ground up through a pepper grinder, and you kind of see. And all I do is just flip it up so I got it, in here. If I can just dump some out, and I can shake it like a salt shaker, or squeeze it a little bit, and something's flying out. It's a real easy way to control it. So if that works, and I'll stick those both powders in that, and use that for some of my fish. So that works well. Also, microworms works good to get them going. Vinegar eels, depending on how small the fish they are when they hatch out. I just made a vinegar eels and a hyper dense culture. It's called. Most people are calling it. It's a little different than the way you've seen vinegar eels done in the past, where they stick some kind of a bottle, doesn't or kind of container, half water, half vinegar, and you shove apples in there and put some vinegar eels in there, their starter culture, and leave it. That's awesome. It works great. But it's a little tricky to, you, you can kind of shove that down, the plug down a little farther, put fresh water on top and suck that out. That works great. Or you can pour it off through a filter and get them out. That works okay. But there's quite a few vinegar eels. But if you have a big number of fry hatching out, like several hundred at a time, like can happen with some of the Nothia branchius. If you're letting it go a little too long, you have too many eggs in there. You can get a big batches of fish. Multiple species are hatching out at the same time. So you have there's tons of fish. That can take a lot of bottles and you deplete it pretty quickly. Luckily, they do grow fast. But what I've done is, actually, let me go grab the container. I have a picture of it, but it'll die. My audio will die. So check this out. This is much like, let's see if I can pick it up right. You can kind of see in there. Let's see if I can maybe show. The sides of this are completely covered with vinegar eels. So it's much like a microworm culture. In fact, it's exactly like a microworm culture, except for water, I use vinegar. So the way I do my microworm cultures is, because container, I put Rice Krispie treats, or really it's the off-brand, it's the cheapest ones I can find. Put a nice big layer of that in there, and then put water on top of that, let it soak in, and then put some yeast, heavy yeast on top, and then put the microworms in there, and they go. This one I didn't have to use any yeast on it, and I basically did the exact same thing. So I put microworms in there. And I used 100% vinegar instead of water. And gave it a little time. It took a little bit to get going. Now I got this hyperdense culture. So I've got, tons and tons of microworms in this little tiny container. So I'm going to put this culture into a bigger container and see if I can get a big culture of that going. So that should make it a lot easier for me to raise a lot of vinegar eels in a small area and easy to harvest. So harvest it. All you need to do is you can use your finger, or I could use a paintbrush and run along the sides on the inside walls, and then put that in a little bit of container of tank water, and then use a pipette or a syringe, whatever you want, to pull that out to feed your individual containers. And those last for like a week or so in the water. So those are really good to feed very small fish, because it's hard to overfeed them because it's not dying. They're staying in the water column. You got a constant supply of food for them, and if you combine that with a system like I've got back here, where you've constantly got fresh water coming in, it's being filtered by all the huge amount of rock material or whatever we have down at the bottom. There's tons of room for bacteria to grow in there, that it cleans that water up. So you really cannot really overfeed these very easily. You have to try hard to overfeed these. Or if the line going into it would get plugged up, or there wouldn't be flowing water through it, and you overfed really bad and you waited 2 or 3 days before you caught it, that might be a problem. But a bunch has to go wrong before you get a fouled up system. Rechoke will go for like 6 or 7 months, and then then you've had gun dry last 2 years. Yeah, it varies. Yeah, my flagfish is a right a-hole. So sometimes they're jerks. But I have a tank with single flagfish in it, and they seem to be fine. I've also heard that mosquito fish are real mean and nasty. And I've had those with guppies and endlers, and I've had breeding going on in those tanks with mosquito fish in there with any problem. So I don't know. It always takes the bites out of my Corey's fins and stuff. Wow, you just got a jerk. Sometimes you just have an animal jerk. It happens with people, it happens with dogs, cats, everything you can imagine. You just got jerks out there sometimes. The bluefins are starting to go dormant, I think, with the cold. Yep. Was thinking of bringing them inside as well, unless the cold cycle is part of their needs. Yeah, I would say the cold might be part of their needs. Anything up here in the temperate climate area where it does get cold in the wintertime, a lot of those fish have a breeding season. And if you try to skip that, they just don't respond. And sometimes some animals don't respond well at all, and they just really don't thrive and can die even from just seems like trying to keep going all the time. They need that downtime. I don't know about the bluefin killies, and I haven't kept them long enough to know. But mine are outside, I'm going to bring it in eventually. Once if we start really getting those temperatures where it's going to be way below freezing for a long period of time. I don't want that water to freeze in those tanks and break them. So, and I've tried that. I experimented with some 75-gallon tank that was beat up so bad it was scratched up. The center brace was broke. I mean, this thing was in bad shape. I almost to go outside over winter and see what happens. So I let it full of water, and sure enough, when it froze, it broke the seams. About halfway down, leaked out. So, yeah, it'll damage it. Killifish are cold water. Some of them killifish are cold water. Yeah, we have killifish right here in the United States. They go all the way up into Canada. So some of them hang out just fine in our cold water. Like the bluefin killies are from Florida and East Coast, but we found populations of them here in Dallas area and down in Houston. There's populations of them, and both of those populations went through that really hard freezes that we had a couple of years ago. Where I mean, the last couple of years we've had some really hard freezes. That one was just for a week. We didn't get a little freezing, and it was way down below zero, so Fahrenheit. That's a testament that some of those were really good. Bug bites mixed with, yes sir, yep. Oh, there's another trick I use too. I almost forgot about this. I was going to mention this. Not a lot of people know this trick, I don't think, or tried it. But man, I'm telling you, I forgot I was doing it for a while, and I don't know why. But so I started doing it again here, and that is this. This is brine shrimp eggs that have been decapsulated. So basically, it is all of the nutrition of a baby brine shrimp before there's a chance to burn any of that energy off by hatching out of an egg and living. So that's you can't get much more nutritious and energy packed than these. The trick of these is you have to let them. I usually put them in a container first, put water on top, so it'll sit at the bottom and absorb the water in, or they float really good. Or you put them on top and then just kind of mix them in, wait for a little bit, mix it in so it all kind of sinks down, and they tend to sink to the bottom that way. They will go bad if they sit on top too long. They'll fire your water up pretty quickly. So that's why it's important to either do water changes a lot when we're using those, because not everything's being eaten. Or a system like I've got back here, where you're constantly getting the water changed out and it never fouls up on you. But I'm telling you, if you can get your fish to eat that and fry to eat that stuff, they take off. I mean, it's like magic. I'm working on my first Daphne culture as we speak from Australia. I need to get a Daphne culture going. That's one of the live foods I haven't tried yet. I do some, what do you call worms? I can't remember the name. But anyhow, they're small white worms. They're not white worms. They're smaller than white worms, about half the size. And they seem to work okay. But, I love, what do you call it, mosquito larvae too. Have you tried Fry's Guide, Fish Crack, and such? I was like 4 different micro pellets and very small. Yes, I have tried his stuff. It works fine. It was great. But I found that whenever I blend the bug bites, period, that gets the fry going, I think, better than the fry crack. It's my opinion. I have nothing to back that up with. I haven't done any kind of testing. But some of the fish weren't really touching the fry crack. It seems like everybody's mileage will vary. So some things work great for some people, doesn't work that great for others. So it worked okay for me. In fact, I got his card right here. So this is who he's talking about. Let's see if I can get that in here. So if you need to, you can go back and look at that. It's still not really clear. Still. So that's the fry guy. His food is great, and he has a lot of live foods on there. And I don't think you can be able to read that. But anyhow, you know it. Oh, there it goes. Oh, it was there. There it goes. Okay. Perfect. Go to his website and look him up. He's got some great live foods. If you want Daphne cultures, you want Paramecium cultures, he's got green water cultures, tons of stuff. And he's the one that actually came up with the idea about the hyperdense vinegar eels. He sells cultures already ready to go. So you don't have to do all the weeks of waiting like I had to do to get mine to go. Just order from him and boom, you're good to go. Paul Pierce, yep, makes wonderful dry foods. He does. Those are all his foods at all. To clarify, I asked, he means Rice Krispies, not the treats, but Rice Krispie treats just rolls off. Yes, it does. I always say Rice Krispie treats. I don't mean Rice Krispie treats. I should have Rice Krispie right here. So, this is what. There you go, man. Sitting right here in my fish room, and I've got a trick too for microworms. The microworm cultures, I've heard a lot of people say after about a month they go bad and they have to work on, and they just go bad and they make a new culture up. I've had cultures from the beginning of the year and other cultures from about July going. And I just got these cultures going here just recently. All I did was, since I'd used the Rice Krispies, I just added more Rice Krispies and added some tank water and got the consistency right, just a little bit of tank water. And then every time the culture kind of gets runny a little bit, add more Rice Krispies. And just keep adding Rice Krispies. Every time it gets kind of starts thinning out, getting real soupy like, add more Rice Krispies, sticking it up. And if you're going to hatch out fry and you're wanting some fresh microworms, what I do is I take the culture and tilt it around a little bit, get some of the stuff, the goo on the outside, about an inch or so up. Next day when you come in, the culture seems, all those microworms seem to go up the side of that and have tons available for you. That's the first time I've ever seen vinegar girls kept that way. How's the smell? That's the great part about using the Rice Krispies. There really is not much smell at all. In fact, I can smell a little bit of vinegar, but very slight. I mean, I can really smell. There's a slight vinegary smell, and there's some kind of an odd odor in there, but it's not bad at all. I mean, you have literally stick your nose on it to smell it. And that's the same thing with the microworm cultures. I don't have any problems with smell. Sometimes it even smell like bread, fresh bread. Running Rice Krispies work well. Rice cakes would work well too. Okay, should. It's kind of like, I think that'd be more expensive to do it that way because you can buy the Rice Krispies, the generic brand stuff, really cheap. And the nice thing about using it over like potatoes is it's fortified with all kind of vitamins and minerals and everything for use as cereal for us to eat. So it's got a lot of good stuff already built into it that like potatoes don't have. Oatmeal is not too bad. It's got some of that stuff built into it because it's cereal too. But I think the Rice Krispies is going to be superior. Yeah. The fry guy does have instructions. I'm sure it works great. I do not do it that way. I just simply got that little container, put some vinegar grills in there, and left it. Every once in a while, I'd go in there and maybe break the surface up because it did get a skin on it a little bit at first. Broke that up until the vinegar grills really got going good, and I don't touch it. So I'm going to see how long I'm going to use that little container. I might do another container to see how long they'll stay in that little container without getting fouled up. And one of the keys to the microworms is you need to be using them. So even if you don't have any fry anything that you need to use them for, go ahead and harvest a bunch of those out. You don't want the populations getting so big in the crash if you're not using it. So go ahead and use some, put it in a container with other fish, see what likes it. So you can also use baby cereal. Oh man, yeah, baby cereal worked great. Rice flakes, yeah. I would say it worked good. My flag fish are normally equal to other flag fish, occasionally leading to a mass murder by one of the males. Oh man, that sucks. I've had groups. In fact, I've got a group of them right now. Younger ones growing up, got two pair in there together, and they're fine. Still a pocket. Yeah, it was terrible. That of which we don't speak. that was something else. I went around fixing people's simple plumbing jobs, because all the plumbers were tied up. I was doing bigger jobs, things that I couldn't do. But somebody has a valve. Somebody did have a valve in their toilet. Behind their toilet, and it started leaking. Well, they had to shut the water off the house because didn't want it leaking all over the house. But it had nothing to do with freezing weather. It just needed to be replaced. So I just went down there and replaced it for them. Well, hey, I'm not a plumber. You're on your own. If this breaks, not my fault. Sorry. I didn't know if I've seen the fish guys before. Yeah, it's awesome. Yes, he's like the live fish culture source people recommend Jeff. Yeah, he is. Go there. You can't go wrong with the stuff he's got. Sorry, first got to jump off great information. Like, oh, thanks. Even though you're probably gone. I had Daphne until Silver Creek. I had Daphne until I got hot outside. Then they started that. Yes, I've heard that. I know somebody in the area had a whole, man, had nice cultures outside die. Luckily, the mosquito larvae were still going to go in and loads to catch each day in just a couple of tubs. Yeah, I've got a bunch of tubs outside. I've got one tub that's full of mosquitoes. In fact, there's full of mosquitoes tonight, and I got to feed that off tomorrow morning. But nothing else grows, seems like. Popped up on this page. Yep. Cool. Let's scroll down through there. So mine are block advisor currently up at the yard. Scrolling. Oh, mine runs empty now. Yeah. Runs and growing spinach. No fish except Achilles outside this morning. Yep, get those bluefin Achilles. They're really cool killifish. I like those. These channels down until March. I don't know. Those I'm going to try scrolling. Maybe these taking a break. Yeah, I can understand that. This could be crazy. I'm not sure. Yeah. All right. Well, what time is it? Oh man, I've been well over an hour. But had a bunch more stuff to talk about. But maybe we can talk about that another time. It's getting late for me. I got to get up, and I've got a long day today, so I'm probably going to jump off of here. If there's any other questions, I'll see if there's anything important. I do have fish available if anybody's looking for some killifish. Let's see, what do I have? I have the Appius Simeon's Chili. Actually, it's Cardinal Panchex Chili. And Cardinal Panchex Gardener Eye. And I have Epiplates Bugatti. These are all $15 a pair, so I saw it in court. Appius Simeon's Gabionensis. Those are really cool. $15 a pair. And the Appius Simeon's Austrel. Females only. Unfortunately, I have females. And Applicatus Dei. So that's what I have available. If anybody's interested in that stuff, just hit me up. I appreciate you guys hanging out.